And you shared a quote with me over the weekend. I'm going to try to pull it up real quick that I loved from Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
And it was, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. You're talking about all of this change, banking on change, the evolving role of the CMO, marketing. A lot of it has to do with our thoughts and our mindsets
Absolutely.
and where we go from here.
Yes.
So let's dig into this. You have been interviewed several times recently, and this has been kind of a hot topic. I know we've covered it here on the podcast many times, and lots of discussions sparked on LinkedIn, especially. But it's about this evolving role of the CMO.
Yes.
Um, how is this role evolving?
I mean, if you go back and let's just call it the quote unquote Mad Men era, uh,
I love it.
marketing was about ads
Yep.
and the medium in which those ads were being communicated through print, radio, that moved into TV, billboards, etc. But then around 1994, we saw a transformation happen, obviously, with the not the advent or even the birth, but the mass adoption or the acceptance at human consciousness of the internet. And even in 1994, the internet was in its infancy. I was just listening to a podcast earlier today that was talking about the rise of email. I think it was actually MCI. It was like an MCI platform back in 1985, 1986
Oh,
was
wow.
was
Yeah.
essentially early email. And what we have to remember is whether we're talking TV, print, radio, billboard, email, the internet, websites, and then go 2002, 2003, 2004, the rise of social media. We're moving into Web 2.0 at that point. There's a constant theme throughout all of those, which is this is not about ads. It's not about broadcast versus digital versus print. It's about communication.
Mhm.
Communication is the constant,
Yeah.
regardless of the channel. And to a degree, I'm finding that marketing teams are forgetting some of that today.
Why do you say that?
Well, when we go and we work with a financial brand and we asked their teams, and this is from the leadership team to the marketing team to sales and operations, we asked them a very simple question: what is marketing in one word?
Right.
And the majority respond communication. So they haven't forgot that piece of it. I'm even just pulling up some data here from 16 that responded from an organization going through our banking on digital growth program. The top three most common responses came back: communication, when answering the question, what is marketing? Communication, recognition, promotion. But
Hmm.
what I'm concerned with is CMOs and marketing teams are forgetting the why. Why are we communicating? That's what I'm referencing when we have forgotten why this is important. And marketing, the way that we define it here, and it's interesting. You've said it on conversations. You've seen
Yeah.
light bulbs go off in people's eyes. You've seen a shift in their body language when I say marketing is not about ads or emails, communication, if you will. Those are communication channels. Marketing is about one thing, which is influence. And when I stop and pause and we define marketing as influence, even those who work within marketing and they have worked in marketing for maybe a decade, maybe 2 decades, maybe even 3 decades, it's interesting to see the sometimes the puzzled look on their face for a moment. And
Yeah.
then the light bulb goes off and like, I get it.
Could, could it be that maybe influence is that word is somehow tied to like persuasion, and maybe that's why there was a little bit of and it's not shock, it's just like, oh, that's a
No,
different way to think about it. But I think when we think persuasion, that might not be as well received, and those are two very different things, correct?
well, I mean, you definitely have to influence to persuade someone to make a different buying decision. Um, I think in coming back and looking at this recent research from this organization, promotion was there.
Right.
But influence, we have to remember when it comes to marketing, and it's not just even, I would say, marketing, it's marketing, it's sales, and it's leadership. All of that comes down to influencing really two things: the hearts and the minds of people. Leadership is obviously influencing the hearts and minds of internal teams. Sales is influencing the hearts and minds of prospective customers or prospective members. But marketing has a very interesting blend of the two, to where marketing has an opportunity to influence hearts and minds, yes, of prospective account holders, prospective members, account holders, etc., but also to influence the hearts and minds of internal teams and even
Mm.
leaderships in today's ever evolving, ever changing world. The reason being is the perception of marketing by others outside of marketing is still rooted in a traditional pre-internet worldview, even though we're 30 years now past 1994.
So is it up? Is it up to the mark? I'm just going to ask a really hard, direct question. Is it up to the marketer, the marketing team, the CMO, to bring awareness, to have those conversations of kind of the shifting roles, to bring, like you say, that they have the ability to influence internal
Mm.
teams.
Well, I mean, perspective shapes reality, and it's not even I would say it's an obligation, particularly the CMO, to influence the perspective of marketing. Now, as we move further into the age of AI, there's an existential question of, why does marketing exist to begin with in the first place?
Almost crucial.
Exactly. And if the perspective of marketing internally within financial services is, well, marketing is just a necessary evil, marketing is a cost center, marketing is just kids that play with paint and crayons, they're the glorified in-house Kinko there to serve the last minute demands of others. Marketing is just a tactical tool. It is not a strategic piece of the growth engine. And therefore, until marketing teams, and more specifically CMOs, SVPs, VPs of marketing, depending upon the organization, influence the internal perspective of marketing, there's a high probability that there will be a growing conflict. There'll be growing chaos around the role of marketing as we move further into the age of AI. We've referenced Sam Altman's prediction that 95% of what marketing teams are doing right now has the potential to be replaced by AI within the next 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Granted, that's a headline, and I think this is the whole point of a detaching from what you do today, so that you create more space and time to review, to learn, to think about how to do even better in collaboration with AI.
Right. And if marketing is still being viewed as, this in-house Kinkos, then you know what? Sam Altman's prediction
Mm,
very well may come true if that's the perception of marketing. So that
yes.
goes back to why it's crucial to have these conversations, because it's more than that. It's more than what AI can replace.
Well, then you add into the mix, so you've got the kind of, we'll call it just the creative aspect of marketing, which I would, and the way I look at this is, it's a pyramid. When thinking about marketing, there are three levels here. At the base level, you have listening. All good marketing begins with listening. Why? Because listening leads to good communication, which is the middle layer of the marketing triangle. And how we communicate, once again, I look at this through 4 different lenses. You have the visual communication, which could be graphical. You have the written word. You have audio, i.e., like this podcast. But then what brings all of that together, I would say, is now video. And so, for example, social media. Social media, Twitter was just focused on the written piece of this when it first started. Then Instagram, what was Instagram? It was the visual, it was the imagery. And then now you've got TikTok. Well, that's the video component of all of this. And a lot of this thinking for me has been formed from Marshall McLuhan, who was thinking and writing about this even before the internet, even before social media. One of his perspectives was the medium is the message, meaning the mediums of which we communicate are often more impactful and more influential than the messages that we communicate through the medium. And so you have listening at the foundation of the marketing pyramid. You have communication at the middle level, but then what's at the very top of that? That's influence. And what are we influencing? Well, externally, we're influencing the behaviors that people have, and particularly through the lens of financial services, the behaviors that people have around money, where they apply for a loan, where they open an account. Do they maintain that relationship? So we're going beyond behavior. Now we're talking about actions and repeated actions, which is habits. And so to influence behavior, we have to roll that back. What's driving behavior? It's feeling, it's emotion. Well, what's driving feeling and emotions? The thoughts that we have. What drives the thoughts that we have? It's our belief systems and structures. So in essence, marketing is really and should be really influencing belief systems and structures if we're going to impact people's behaviors to move money from A to B.
Yeah, and I think that's why, and I don't know, did you coin this, but where you use experience engineer.
Yes.
The CMO is becoming that of an experienced engineer, blending left brain and right brain thinking.
Yes. Yeah. That was actually something that I wrote about in Banking on Digital Growth. And so this was probably back in 2018, 2019. I was having some of these thoughts of reframing the role of marketing going forward into the age of AI. And my dad's an engineer. I mean, he is a complete left brain logical thinker. I would say I'm a bit of a hybrid, because I can turn on the analytical left brain, but then there's also the creative right brain. And when we think about this idea of marketing and the CMO specifically becoming an engineer or an experienced engineer more specifically, it is to look for opportunities to develop experiences across communication channels, and that could be in person, that could be through broadcast media, that could be through digital media. But what we're looking for are experiences, and we have to define what an experience is. An experience, once again, as I wrote in Banking on Digital Growth, an experience is a well-defined system or a process. So there's the engineering piece, system or process that has been strategically thought out, practically applied, and then, this is the key, continuously optimize over time, resulting in either a positive or negative emotion, because we know the influence that emotion has on people's behavior.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, we're having these conversations about, marketing and the role of marketing and the importance of marketing.